Hey y'all, it's Santana, aka Tana's Book Diary, and I'm back with another video. Guys, first of all, I hope the air is not too loud, so I'm gonna talk louder. But guys, I saw Sinners not once, not twice, not even 3 times, 4 whole times. 4 times, okay? So I feel like I'm a subject expert at this point. I feel like I know the movie like back and front. This is my top movie of this year, but I know this is gonna be one of my all-time favorite movies, period. I have a list of comfort movies that I love, and when I watched it for the first time, I just knew immediately this was going to be added to that list. Ryan Coogler, you did your big one. Proximity Media, Michael B. Jordan, all the actors in this film, 8. Like, I'm not a horror person at all, but I can sit through and I can get through horror movies, especially if the premise is good. I just don't like a lot of jump scares or like things where it's like possession or like exorcisms. Like, those freak me out more than like demons and monsters. So like the vampire thing was not bad because I've seen a ton of vampire movies, shows. I can get through that. It was the jump scares that got me a little bit, but like once I saw it 3 more times after the first time, I was like chilling. I love the music, I love the storyline, I love the setting. I'm so glad we got to shine light on the South. I feel like, especially with Black Americans in the South, I feel like they get a bad rep when it comes to like representation in media. I feel like people don't see the richness of the South. I think a lot of us see just the dark side, or it's just not interesting, it's just a bunch of land. But it's so much history to it, so much culture, so much that I didn't even know myself. I don't have family in Mississippi, but I do have family in the South. So I just saw a lot of things that I also was familiar with and resonated with. And I just thought it was super cool how the music was incorporated, how though we were like in one setting for most of the movie, it felt like we were everywhere at once and we could see everything. It felt like there was a lot of movement. Because there's some movies that are set in one place and it feels like we're in one place. Like, it feels very confined, not a lot of movement. I feel like my thoughts are all over the place, but that's just how I'm feeling about Sinners. Like, I've had so many debriefs with so many different people about character breakdowns. How did Michael deliver 2 different types of people with Smoke and Stack? And how did he make them feel like real twins, real brothers? CGI and the technology aside, like, Michael really ate. Like, he really did the work. He made Smoke feel like his own person and Stack his own person too. So when they were separate and not together on the screen, it was no doubt who was Smoke and it was no doubt who was Stack. He just did so well at making them so distinctive. But also like his chemistry with Wumi and Haley, who both played Annie and Mary. I can go on and on. I don't know if I should or shouldn't, but Miles Catton, like, you ate with Sammy. Your voice, I need you everywhere. I'm really hoping like they do the Oscar run, they do the promo for the award, or what is I don't know the proper language when they like pitch it for nominations. I really hope he performs at the Oscars. I really hope they give him the big stage, because I Lied to You is on constant repeat. The score, repeat. The soundtrack, repeat. Like, since I've seen it, every day I'm listening to something from Sinners. So Ryan, you've done it again. You've had a great run. Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther. Like, I can't wait for what's next for him. I'm so happy to hear that he also has the rights to his movie, so he'll make all of that back. So anyway, I won't go too movie heavy in the video, but if you want to chat in the comments about like your favorite parts, what stood out to you about Sinners, have you seen it already, how many times have you seen it, please drop it in the comments, because I want to talk about it all, okay? But as you can see from the title of this video, I want to get book recs based off of the movie's vibe or like the setting. After seeing the movie 4 times, each time I was like, oh, this book reminds me of this scene. This reminds me of this book. So I just was like, why not make a video about it as well as an IG post. But I also saw some like great creators who also made posts too. So I'm just also following in their footsteps because I thought it was super cool that the book recs that they offered. So let me get into it. I kind of broke it down into sections. So hoodoo and spiritualism, we're gonna combine, right? So with hoodoo and spiritualism, Annie is into hoodoo. We see a lot of it being highlighted when, you know, Smoke comes back and he still has the mojo bag she made for him. You could see it like her business that she had, that she sells a lot of herbs. And so for hoodoo and spiritualism, the 3 books that I recommended were, or that I thought of instantly when I saw it, was Black Magic Women by Diane Marie Brown. I read this last year, I believe. It's about 3 generations of women who all deal with hoodoo, but they use their powers in many different ways. Grandmother, she used her powers in the wrong way, and she since said, I am no longer going to use this because I've misused it once. I don't want to misuse it ever again. The daughter, she uses it for her job purposes. She's a therapist, so she uses it to help heal her clients. And then the daughter, she's unaware of her power and what she can do until she's in a situation that she uses her powers. But it has to do with the men in their life. So they can't keep, like, every time they get with a man, especially if he's the love of their life, if I'm correct, he dies. So it's also about, we close ourselves off to men, we will not get anyone else hurt. And it's a very interesting storyline. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but I definitely think it's a great read, especially if you love hoodoo and spiritualism and also Black women as the lead. I said Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. I haven't read this myself, but it's on my to be read list, and it's also Black male led. It's YA. I know from the brief synopsis, it's set in the South. It's at an HBCU, and he discovers his powers while at school. So you get college setting, HBCU, Black male lead, young adult, and magic. So I think that that's a great combo of things. And then Legendborn by Tracy Dion, which I feel like I've been talking about heavy on my channel recently. But again, it's set in college, it's in the South in North Carolina. It's YA, so we follow Bree. She's a young 16-year-old girl who is in early college. She discovers this secret underground society. They have magic and powers, but she also finds out about her ancestry and how she's connected to rootcraft. And I think that's very interesting too, because in Sinners, Annie mentions a lot about root, and I think that all intertwines too. So those are my 3 recommendations for hoodoo and spiritualism. Now down to the next section, haints and spirits. The Reformatory, which I have here too, The Reformatory by Tanariv Due, has great mentions of haints. And that's where I actually first learned about what a haint was and how it's a little different than what a ghost would be considered. So we follow a young boy, Robbie. He's 12 years old. He lives in Florida, and he is sent to the reformatory school for boys in Florida after he defends his sister against another young white teenager who made some comments towards her that he didn't like. So he did kick him, and the white boy's dad sent him off to the reformatory school. And though he was only sentenced to be there for a few months, it feels longer. He's 12, right? And so the young boys can see haints, and sometimes they can come off as being so real that they can become like personified, or they can materialize. I don't know what the proper word is, but they can feel human. And he was having connections with another haint at the time he thought was a boy, Blue. And so we see that connection between him and Blue, him and the haints, him and this reformatory school. It does take place in I can't tell you what year it takes place in. I think it's like the 50s though, early 50s in Florida. So think about it. So it's a lot of talks of racism, so be wary with this because it took me a while to get through because it was very heavy. But it's racism, it's violence, it's assault, it's inhumane conditions for children or anyone period, but especially children. But also it does have mentions, lots of mentions of Haints. And then my second recommendation for the Haints and Spirits section is Junie by Aaron Crosby Eckstein. I mentioned this in my last video about my April reads and my May hopefuls. I actually just finished that book and I gave it 4 stars out of 5. I truly enjoyed it. I highly recommend the audiobook. The cover is what drew me to the book, but it's about Junie. She is enslaved. She is in a plantation in the deep southern part of Georgia or Alabama, I cannot remember, but one of those 2 states. And so she works directly with the master's daughter, Violet, and as Violet is set to be married in a few weeks, she is trying to find her way to freedom. And with that, she has the help from her sister Minnie, who did pass away, who does appear as a Haint. That book also stuck out to me during the movie when Annie first thought that Cornbread, also spoiler alert if you have not seen Sinners, I'm sorry if I didn't, I should have put that at the front. When Annie first accuses Cornbread and Mary of what they were, she said they were Haints. So their souls were replaced by someone else. So those are my book recs for the Haints and the Spirits, Passing, and Racial Ambiguity. That is the next category. I have 2 of the 4 books here. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I read this back in 2023, ate it up, 5 stars. I know it was one of my favorite reads of that year. This is about 2 twin sisters, the Venai twins, sorry, who are both black, but visibly they can both pass. One sister decides to be fully black and live her life as a black woman, and the other sister decides to fully assimilate and pass as a white woman, living up north with her white husband and having white kids. And so we are in the same timeline. Well, we're in multiple timelines. It does take place in multiple timelines, but we're in the same timeline as the twin sisters, but we are following them at their 2 different ends of the country. They live in 2 different places. So if I'm correct, the passing sister lives like in California, and the sister who identifies as a black woman lives in the South where they were originally from. And both of them have children, and we get to see how all of them are interconnected in some way, shape, or form. I also thought it was interesting because they're both twins and Sinners, twins. But also with the conversations of Mary, who back then when the 1-drop rule was taken into much consideration compared to now. Racial politics have definitely switched and changed over the decades, because when I saw her, I was like, girl, you are white. You're white. You sit up here saying my mom's dad is half black. You didn't even say my grandfather. You said my mom's dad. So also, like, I'm someone who's very literal with terminology. And so for the fact, what I gathered when she said that was either she didn't meet her grandfather, so she didn't feel comfortable calling him that, which I understand, or 2, y'all just weren't like that. And so you just were like, yeah, my mom's dad is half black. I had to laugh when that scene popped up. That and I'll fight everybody in here. Like, you'll fight everybody in here. Girl, you whispered that. You knew to whisper that because you knew you was gonna get beat up if you said that any louder. And it's always a black man at the scene of the crime who basically inflates her ego to believe that. But anyway, I love the movie so much because it's things like that that I'm just like, yes, like, it doesn't matter that it takes place in the 30s. Folks still think like this. But anyway, racial ambiguity does play a part in this movie for Mary as well, because she was like, I don't want to be white. I didn't want to be with a white man. Like, you can tell she has a lot of conflicts with her racial identity. So I thought of instantly The Vanishing Half, because the sister who decided to pass, after years of passing, she was like, do I want to continue doing this? But you have kids, you're married, you have this established life. And it takes place throughout the years, so the 50s and 60s, and now we're getting into the era where people can start clocking your sis. And so it's a great story. Please read it if you have not. My next rec is Passing by Nella Larson. I actually have not read this. It is on my to be read list. I did see the movie, so I feel like I can recommend the book. Fingers crossed that it's not different too far off, because I know some book adaptations can be very like, girl, this is not the same as the movie. But Passing by Nella Larson, the movie was really good. It starred Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga, who I felt like would have been either one of them, or Journey Smollett would have been very good as Mary as well. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm biased. I like them three. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I thought that movie was so good. Similar to The Vanishing Half, we follow Ruth Negga's character and Tessa Thompson. They were both very close friends back in the day, but Ruth Negga decides to fully be a white woman, and Tessa Thompson identifies as a fully black woman. So again, both go their separate ways, get married, have children, or Tessa Thompson has children. Ruth Negga doesn't have children, and I think there's a fear that if she were to have kids, her child would visibly look black. Because we know that no matter what shade you are as a black woman, you can have children of a varying shade. So I think there was that fear too, but I think her husband's blatant racism started to bleed out more and more, and it was affecting how she was internally. You could also see like when she would hang out with Tessa Thompson, she would cling to her. There was also a romantic energy with them. Like they thought that Ruth Negga's character really loved Tessa Thompson, but like romantic love, not just platonic friend love. But you know, it was kind of like touching a different aspects of things. And there's a mention in the film too where the older white guy is like, you know, we all hide who we are and we portray ourselves to be what people want us to be and not who we really are. He says something along those lines. It was very impactful. So I definitely think that this again coincides with Mary and how she is able to white pass, even though to me she's just white, but you know, at the time have the white husband have the life that you initially wanted or you thought you wanted, and then you come back to where you're from where it's predominantly black and you're like, actually I don't think so. So similar storylines, which I think is interesting. Third book is Did You Hear About Kitty Carr by Crystal Smith Paul. I read this I think back in 2023 as well. This takes place in multiple time periods, so the 60s, 90s, and then present day, where we follow, it's literally in the title, Kitty Carr. She is a white actress. She dies and she ends up giving her estate to these three black sisters who are also famous in the Hollywood scene, and people are trying to figure out, why is this old white lady giving her estate to these three young black girls? What is her correlation to them? What's the importance? How are they all connected? I don't want to give it away. I mean, the category itself might, but I definitely think you need to read this. It's super interesting, and the first half it's a little slow, so bear with it, but once you get into it you'll be interested. Old Hollywood, older white actress gives her estate away to three black actresses in the present time, and just kind of enjoy the ride. I did tap this heavily. I really enjoyed it. I know I've seen like multiple reviews on this book, but I really enjoyed it, so at least test it out. And then I always get this wrong, this pronunciation, Rectify, Recite to If. Recite to If. Recite to If by Toni Morrison. God forbid, like, I think I butchered that, but it's okay. I listened to this on audiobook. It's about two women who are friends, and we kind of followed them through a course of time, and you can't tell if one friend is black or you can't tell who's black and who's a white woman. That's kind of like the generalized answer for the book. Like, it's just, you can't tell who's black and who's white. So you gotta listen. And then there's like things that you're like, oh, she's definitely white. And you're like, then she'll do something, and you're like, no, maybe she is black. So it's basically, I feel like, a deconstruction of also like stereotypes and what we assume and put on black women and what we put on white women. It's really interesting. It's a quick listen. I think If you just need something to listen to while you're at work or while you're on a walk, it's definitely a good book for that. Next category, historical fiction. I have 2 recs for this section. I have Fires to Come by Asha Lemme. This was an Amazon original story that I had on Kindle, and I was like, looks interesting. It's a black girl on the cover. I was like, why not? We follow, I don't know her name. I'm not good with remembering names, if you can tell, but I'm gonna get hers. Okay, Carlotta. Ooh, I should know that. Star. In 20th century New York City, we follow Carlotta. She's raised in an Italian family in New York, but she's a black woman, and she's visibly black. So we see mentions of racism, duh. But you know, family, which I love, loyalty. We get some jazz music because it's in Harlem. So we get to see a lot of different parts of New York during the 20s. And I think that's really cool. I thought it was an interesting storyline. It's a short story, a novella. So it's literally, I don't think it was even 100 pages. I want to say it was like 60 to 80 pages. It was really quick, but it was enough of a story that I didn't feel like we were missing anything. I thought it was interesting, and I mentioned this as a rec because we know that Smoke and Stack were in Chicago, and we know that they were in connections with both the Irish mob and the Italian mafia. So I was like, hold on, Italian mafia, black woman, up north, New York, close to Chicago. Music was heavily referenced in this book, as well as in Sinners with Blues, but we get jazz in this book. So I just thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a nice rec that kind of paired with it. If you like that, because if you like that mention of Italian mafia and mob, because I know like a lot of people were like, we need a prequel as to what their life was like when they were in Chicago. Like, did they pose as one person, like one man? But you could tell who was running with who. Like Smoke was with the Irish mob because of how he dressed, while Stack was with the Italian mafia. So it was just all like, we need more. So I was just like, I did read about the Italian mafia in the 20s. This was it. And then my second rec for historical fiction, which I have not read yet, but it's on my TBR, which I mentioned in my May Hopefuls video, is Dead Dead Girls by Nikisa Afia. Takes place in Harlem as well, like Fires to Come. We follow Louise, who in the 20s with her girlfriend, Maria, and they're on this hunt to figure out who is kidnapping and killing all of these women in Harlem. And it's close connections because she, when she was younger, was kidnapped as well. So I just thought it was interesting because of Harlem, 20s, jazz music, but also that thriller aspect of kidnapping and killings and the whodunit of the story. So I haven't read it, but based off the synopsis, I wanted to recommend it. I hope to read it soon though. Next, 2 more categories. Next one is Southern landscape. So anything that just takes place in the South, not really correlating with the time period, but just a Southern landscape. The Southern Horrors and Other Writings by Ida B. Wells. I listened to that last year. It was a quick audio book listen. It was heavy. It's about the lynching law, and Ida B. Wells is known for her writings about lynching. So I definitely believe that everyone should take a listen to this in moderation when you are in the right frame of mind, because it is heavy. It is like, not super graphic, but it's graphic enough like you get the point. And I instantly thought of this because of the scene with Delta Slim, Sammy, and Stack when they were on their way to pick up cornbread after they picked up Delta Slim, and he is retelling the story of his friend Rice, if I'm correct, when he was trying to move to Arkansas, become a pastor, but before he could even get on the train, these white men saw that he had all this money on him and lynched him right there in the square. I instantly thought of this book because of the realities of living in the South in the 1800s, 1900s, predating that even as well. And even modern day times, we still see lynchings to this day, whether it's how it used to be or modern day lynchings where we're seeing people get killed on camera and we and it's almost like this is supposed to be normal, or we're very desensitized at this point to seeing black bodies just dead. And so I instantly thought of this book after that scene. And to sidetrack, just to talk about that scene, like, that was so moving. First of all, I love the director's take, Ryan Coogler's take on not showing us the lynching. I've seen many movies where they just show it and you're like, well, like, I was not prepared for that, or you know what's going to happen, but it's still like, I don't want to see it. I know what's going to happen. Give us a fade to black. I really appreciated how he still was artistic in the direction that he went about going. Like, you could still hear it. You can hear the whole scene play out while we're still focused on them in the car. Like, I thought that was very impactful. I thought, and I saw a TikTok where they were like, this girl was like, that was more impactful than actually seeing it. So yeah, the Southern Horrors and Other Writings about the lynching law is my first rec when it comes to Southern landscape, but also just the history of lynching itself. My next one is All the Sinners Lead by S.A. Cosby, which takes place in Southern Virginia. I love S.A. Cosby, and I feel like I'm going to talk about him more and more each video, but All the Sinners Lead takes place in the South. Let me give you a brief run through. So we follow Titus, who is the first black sheriff in Chiron County, Virginia. So after being a sheriff, the first black sheriff for this county, after 1 year, a school teacher is killed by a student, and then that student is followed up with being killed by one of his deputies. And now, after this shooting, he discovers that there's a serial killer out on the loose who kind of set that student up to be like the scapegoat. And from there, we just are on this wild goose chase of who is the ringleader behind all these killings and who sent the student to do that, but also dealing with the horrors of racism in the South, as well as him being the first black deputy sheriff for his county. There's just so many layers. I love S.A. Cosby because he makes multi-layered characters, multifaceted characters. Like, it's never one-dimensional when he's writing characters. So I 1000% recommend this book. And then my next rec by S.A. Cosby is My Darkest Prayer. We follow Nathan, who is a funeral home director, and the opening line to the synopsis is, I handle the bodies. And instantly, if that doesn't make you like, what? You handle the bodies? I don't know what does. Again, takes place in southern part of Virginia, and we just follow them on this hunt of who killed the local preacher in the area, and how this will connect with him because he's a funeral director, but also because he was a former deputy sheriff as well as a former Marine. So we see, again, layers on top of layers on top of layers, okay? I recommended these two S.A. Cosby books because one, again, takes place in the Deep South, and two, black male lead, like Sinners, South, two black male leads, and three, it's just crime fiction, crime thriller. Like, this is what I imagine, even though the time period is much different and the location is different, I kind of imagine the same kind of chaotic, wild goose chase energy for what the prequel to Sinners could be. Like what Smoke and Stack were when they were younger and when they were in Chicago. Like, the energy that this gives me gives the same what I think the prequel will give. So read it, because why not? It'll get you out of a slump quick. You think you're in one? Read this. He's gonna have you up out of your seat yelling at the ether, because he just has such a way to get you invested from page one until the end. And then my last rec for Southern Landscape is They Bloom at Night, Trang Ta Tran, which I actually read back in March. It follows Noon and their mom as they're in this post-apocalyptic world where it was just a hurricane, but it's mutated by wildlife and like this weird algae that can overtake your body and mutate you. It's crazy. It's a little science fiction-y, a little horror. Body horror mainly though. I recommended this one because Deep South, Mercy, Louisiana, but two, because of the Asian representation in this book, and I wanted to highlight the Asian rep in Sinners, We got to see the couple, Bo Chow and Grace Chow, as well as their daughter Lisa, who were of Chinese descent, who lived in the Mississippi Delta. I thought it was very interesting. And I'm a history girl. I love history. So I loved how Ryan did the work and mentioned and highlighted that Chinese immigrants were very pivotal in Mississippi, in the Delta specifically, and also were in major collaboration with the Black community there. And I just was like, They Bloom at Night kind of has that similar vibe. So that is my Rex for the Southern landscape. My last category is vampires. I mean, how can I not talk about vampires when it's a vampire movie? So I have 2 Recs. I don't know why I thought I was going to have more. Like, I genuinely thought I would, but I guess I didn't. I haven't read too many vampire books. I've seen a ton of shows, but not read many books. But so Ringshout by P. DeGelle Clark. I read this or listened to it last year. I did give it 2 stars. Maybe I should have mentioned that. But I think it's still worth listening to, because where I was at, my mindset, it might have been the timing of it, but it was vampires and it was such a cool storyline. And I actually heard they're supposed to be producing this into a film or like a limited series. So I'm interested to see what that'll look like and if that will translate better for me, at least. Because sometimes the book is just not that good for me and the film is, or vice versa. The film is not good, but the book is great, you know? So I definitely want to give it another try when it comes out. The opening line is, "In America, the demons wear white hoods." In 1915, the birth of a nation cast a spell across America, swelling the Klan's ranks and drinking deep from darkest thoughts of white folk. All across the nation they ride, spreading fear and violence among the vulnerable. They plan to bring hell to earth, but even Ku Kluxes can die. Standing in their way is Maurice Boudreaux and her fellow resistant fighters, a foul-mouthed sharpshooter and a Harlem Hell fighter. Armed with blade, bullet, and bomb, they hunt their hunters and send the Klan's demons straight to hell. Something awful's brewing in Macon, and the war on hell is about to heat up. Can Maurice stop the Klan before it ends the world? I think it sounded great. When I listened to it, I was just like, what? Maybe I need to re-listen to it in a clear mind, but again, I want to give it another chance when the film comes out. But again, mentions of the KKK was in Sinners. We found out that all them white folks ended up being bad news in hood, okay? And I ate it up. They were armed with blade, bullet, and bomb. Think about that climax scene when they're all fighting them. Annie, Smoke, Grace, Delta Slim, Sammy, Pearline, all of them ready with their sticks. That's what this gave me. I do kind of wish that it ended with them being like hunters, just selfishly. Vampire hunters, but we had to end it. And then my last rec is Blood Moon, which hasn't come out yet, but I'm extremely excited. Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis. It's a vampire YA love story. I haven't read it because it hasn't come out yet, but I'm excited for it. She said it's like Vampire Diaries, Bonnie Bennett vibes. Oh my goodness. Sorry if the camera angle kind of changed. The battery died. And I love Brittany Lewis. This is her 3rd book that I plan to read of hers. I read her first 2 books. So good. But anyway, that is all I have for my book recs based on Sinners. Feel free to drop any books that you think I should read based off Sinners, or that you read and you were like, oh, this totally gave Sinners vibes, because I'm hooked. I need all the vampires, all the Southern landscape. I need all the thriller, the crime, the everything, the black male leads, the black female leads. I just need it all. I am just amazed at how Ryan got this out a few weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about it. A lot of movies nowadays aren't keeping my attention, aren't keeping me interested, but he did a great job. Him and his team did an amazing job at creating an original film. What the heck? But anyway, let me not go on and on. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to this video. Thank you guys so much for keeping up with me. I think I want to change my posting days to Wednesday. What do you guys think? Do you guys even care? I just feel like Sunday, it's hard for me to keep up with that. I like filming on the weekends when I have time, but like when I have a due date of it being Sunday, it kind of makes it hard. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Have a great weekend. Peace.